Session 2 here on day 6 at the 2023 Australian Open. It is women's singles action continuing, and it's Carol Ossher from Double Bay in New South Wales against Leigh Hansen of Victoria. Valferbo back here with you for yet another session, and joining me, well, I have pulled in the big guns. Natasha Van Eldik, right at home, Jackaroo. Tash, good to have you on. Thank you for coming. I've thrown this on you very last minute, but you've taken it with both hands, and great to have you on Ringside Live.
Yeah, why not? You know, just walking in to come and support my partner and teammate, and there was no one else to help you out, so I thought I'd just jump on for a bit of commentary.
No, I've bumped Andrew Howie.
But he's a busy man this week, so a little bit of time off from commentary won't hurt him.
Certainly is. And look, congratulations, first things first, on making it through the singles section yesterday. Talk us through your day at Ribena. I know there was a loss at the end, but you had a pretty healthy shot difference where it didn't really matter too much.
Yeah, look, you know, I set myself up pretty well in the first two games against quality opposition, going into the last game with a handy margin. And then I played a lady, Nicole McKenzie from Dandenong, who was unbelievable out there, and full credit to her. She played some unbelievable bowls and, you know, come away with the win. So hopefully that little sneaky margin that she got on top of me will get her through as a lucky loser. Yes,
certainly. And it's going to be very interesting to see how it all does play out over the next couple of hours or so. There's a couple of really tough groups around. And there is the horn, so we will get underway, and it will be Leigh Hansen to kick things off. Now, Leigh is from Tookumwal. I'm really not sure how to pronounce that, but we'll go from Tookumwal. There we go. Thank you to the gentleman sitting directly in front of us. That's very helpful. In Victoria, she will have the red paddles for her purple bowls and the blue paddles for Carol Ossher of Double Bay. Very much looking forward to this contest, Tash. And this morning, Jen Delves and her opponents, they both had the same bowls, Janelle Evans, or same colour bowls, so it was a bit harder to determine who was who, but this one will be a little bit easier.
Jeez, I'm glad I got this game and not the last one. Mind you, I probably had some good stories for you in the last game.
Yeah, I think you would have. That's for sure. Good to have everybody's company from wherever they're joining us around the country. And Tash, you played out of Ribena yesterday, and also in the women's pairs, you're through as well.
Yeah, we had another tough section in the women's pairs, but we snuck away with a few wins there and was able to get obviously through the section and into the main draw, which is nice as well. So it's never easy when you come here and play against quality opposition, and everyone just comes here to have a good time as well. So it's great just to get out on the greens. The greens and the weather has been absolutely phenomenal here.
I know. Very lucky with what we've been able to receive here on the Gold Coast, as that one from Leigh just drifts past, but not a bad home.
It's always hard on the first end because you only get one end roll up. So you've gone in the one direction and you've got your line and your weight in that direction, and then you've got to try and find it on the first end when you come back. So we might see these ladies just scratch around for the first couple of bowls until they find their rhythm.
However, not a bad effort from Carol Ossher. Got the jack moving. And this is what we saw from Jen Delves in the final end of the first match. Jack got moving in that left of screen direction a couple of times, and she found her line perfectly to score a 3 and take a win in her section, which is not easy because Lindsay Clark is in that, Tash.
Yeah, that's a tough little section, that. I don't think I'd like to be any of those players, to be honest. Not sure how the other two went in their first game, but, every game out here is tough. So
yeah, it is. And for you personally, how hard is it to come up against someone that you've never played before and you don't know much about, obviously? And, the international scene, you can do your homework a little bit more, and you know the players and you know what they're going to produce in terms of, where they like their lengths and how they like their lengths, and also later on in the tournament. But coming up in the sectional rounds, how long does it take for you personally to sort of feel an opponent out?
It really depends. Like, I tend to not, feel the opponent and what they're doing rather than just worry about myself and go back to basics. So for me, it's all about, just finding my rhythm for the first 3 or 4 ends and going from there. Just seeing what we can do and, find that rhythm once again. But
Leigh just coming over the top there. Got our marker Bron back with us here on Rinkside Live. Great to have her back. Done a wonderful job, as have all of our volunteers and officials throughout the tournament. Certainly would not be the event that it is without them. Here on this first end. Final bowl coming down from Carol. Let's see where this ends.
She'll be looking to add to the count here. She played a really good one with her third bowl, so she has definitely found her rhythm. And by the looks of things, she's added another one to the count.
Yep. I think this might be a multiple to start.
That'll definitely calm some nerves.
Yep. Certainly. It's always good to get on the board. And we had 12-year-old Ella Hipworth yesterday on the broadcast. Her first AO. She'd been bowling 6 months. And while she didn't win, she got on the board in the first end, and that would have calmed a few nerves for her. So
it's so good to see, such a massive age demographic out here. At Robini yesterday, there was a lady that was 83.
Unbelievable.
And it was her first AO.
Unbelievable. That's a great start. As had a 2 scored to Carol Ossher to start proceedings here.
Just a little bit of trivia from Double Bay. I believe that back about 3 or 4 years ago, they used to run one of the best ladies triples tournaments ever. It was phenomenal. 2 days, everything that they put on, from raffles to competition, to lunches, was awesome. And the field that they used to get was amazing. So hopefully, in a couple more years' time, they will continue to have that event.
Yeah, looking forward to hopefully seeing bowls just back to flourishing around the country. Obviously, it was a difficult couple of years with COVID, but we seem to be back to full strength. And there's a lot of national events around that are so popular. There's the Penguin Triples. I know Nick Hind over the past few days has been waffling on about it and talking about how wonderful it is, and he'd love to get down. But there's so many great events around the country, and the Golden Nugget is another one of those at Club Tweed, which is coming up.
Yeah, that's always a winner. The Wimbledon of lawn bowls, I
Yep.
always call it.
Wimbledon's also coming up.
It is. You'd definitely be on that wagon, Val.
Yep.
No sleep for you.
No, there wasn't much during Roland Garros either, unfortunately. The result probably wasn't what I was after in the end, but it was a great tournament. But yeah, Wimbledon coming up. The grass court season of tennis is fantastic, but back to the bowls, and a good start for Double Bay's Carol Ossher.
We're looking just to add a little bit of weight on a first one here.
I think it's going to dip underneath. These greens are going to speed up, we know that. Jay Allendale. Tash, what a true champion you are. To acknowledge the performance by Nix against you yesterday. Well done, and all the very best for the rest of the tournament.
Thank you. It's very lovely of you. Another pretty handy bowl here by Leigh. That will give her 2. She's just hanging around.
This time of the day, when the sun starts to make a full appearance over the green, this is when it starts to speed up monumentally.
Carol's made a very handy correction here. Just had to take a little bit more grass, which is what she's done. Can Carol replicate the last bowl? She's on a good track. Handy home no matter what there. It's a very good shot there by Leigh.
Certainly was. So, what will the count be? They'll trundle down. As we walk around and see what Bron is indicating. Would be good for Leigh to get on the board as they survey. And we're going to get a measure. See if we can get more of an indication from this angle. But what are you favouring here, Tash?
I'm favouring Leigh.
Well, she's got the mat, so will be. And just the single. So she's on the board, Leigh Hansen. Carol Ossher maintains her buffer at 2-1. Let's see what length Leigh attempts here. How long have you been up here for, Tash?
We drove up on Sunday, so pretty easy drive from Port Macquarie now that all the freeways have been done. So only took us 4.5 hours.
Only?
Yeah, which isn't too bad. Couple of stops.
Yeah, that's true. Considering it would probably take about 20 from Melbourne, so...
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, I wouldn't be attempting that drive.
I couldn't spend that long in a car.
No.
But, excuse me, a lot of people, you know, they love to caravan and they love to get in their caravans and drive up here. And, you know, I guess from Victoria, it's pretty cold down there at the moment.
It is, but I would certainly be flying rather than driving, unless that's your thing. But I'm not one to sit in my car for too long without getting too grumpy.
No.
I did the Melbourne to Adelaide earlier on in the year, and it was 8 hours on my own in a car.
No thanks.
And then having to drive back 3 days later. Not fun.
No, look, I travel a fair bit to play bowls, you know, because I play at Raymond Terrace and, you know, live in Port Macquarie, so it's 2 hours for me. So sometimes, you know, there's a full day of 4 hours of travel and that's enough for me.
Yeah, wow, that's a massive hike.
Yeah. As we say, a really handy start there by Leigh. You know, even though she's a little bit past the jack, you know, we hardly ever see the jack go forward. So having that past is always really a good start.
Yeah, we do rarely see. I think the only time I reckon I've seen the jack go forward is at a Bowls Premier League.
Yeah, well, look, sadly, that happened to me yesterday.
Oh, you're kidding. Sorry to bring that up.
But that's okay. You know, these things happen. You know, and it just hit the backboard and come up the green. But, yeah, you know, it's very rare. So
it is.
It's always important to have one past the jack.
Especially when it's a longer length as well. So maybe this is going to be the trend from Leigh Hansen. From Tokemwalt in Victoria. How far would Double Bay be from where you are in Port Macquarie? Tash?
So Double Bay is, in the city of Sydney.
Yep.
So it's probably another 4.5 hours for
Yep.
me. But a beautiful part of the world, Double Bay. A few celebrities live there. It's certainly not me. I can't afford their celebrity houses.
There's been a few players from a couple of clubs in Melbourne as well. In Hampton yesterday, it's one of the more expensive areas down there on the beach. Just not finding her line there, Carol. Or wait, but this is a really impressive start to the end from Leigh Hansen. She's found the weight, which is exactly what she needed, especially with the T to T length that she's opting to go for.
I think if she can, really put the pressure on here and get one super close, that'll really put the pressure on Carol.
And
ask and you shall receive.
She must be listening to Ringside Live. When Natasha Van Eldik is on, everybody does. Great to have everyone's company from around the world, wherever you're watching from.
I think Carol just needs to try and aim to beat Leigh's back ones here. Second shot's perfect for her. Can't try too hard to get the actual shot because that's when you start to fall short. And she's already got 2 up the green.
Well, the weight's better, but I'm not so sure that this is... it might obstruct it down or might trim the count to 1.
Big chance here for Leigh. Little toucher. She only really needs to touch it 6 inches.
Yep.
And I'll bring her back 2 in.
And then to start with a 4.
And being respot, it doesn't allow Carol to play as much weight as she probably likes because she doesn't have a back bowl. But
that's underneath, so there's an opportunity here for Carol Ossher. Jen Delves right in front of us at 2-all. Tash?
It's a perfect position for watching, really.
Yep. So what have we got here from Carol Ossher? Carmen asking, how's the boot going? You're not wearing it at the moment.
Yes. So 8 weeks ago, I did break my foot. Sadly, I wish I had a really good story to tell everyone to do that, but no, I don't. I just missed a step, snapped my 5th metatarsal. Did a pretty good job of it. So got my boot off last week. But a little bit of trivia for everyone, because your foot is the furthest away from your heart, and it's got the least amount of blood flow, it takes the longest to heal. So it is still broken, but slowly mending, and the more I move it, the better it's going to grow. So no pain, no boot, and I can still play bowls.
Well, that's the main thing.
Another good pick-up there by Leigh. She had a really good setup of the head. As we saw, Carol just promote one of her own bowls. So 2-all.
Sure is, and it's what you want. You just want to get a little bit of a foothold in early in singles play after dropping a 2 in the first end. I've seen throughout the first couple of days of singles play here for both the men and the women, Tash, that if you can just get a few multiples on the board, you can really run away with things. But the players that have won have only mainly conceded singles or 2s at the maximum because they've just had 1 in the head the entire time.
Yeah, I think, for me personally, when I play singles, I split the game into 3 different games. So I tend to always go first to 5, then first to 15, and then the final 21. And that tends to help me. But as you did mention, if you can only drop a single, that definitely helps. As we see there, Leigh, once again, she is finishing past, and Carol just hasn't quite found her weight yet. but I'm sure that'll come over time.
Even this morning, Jen Delves Tash conceded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ends, but the first 4 of those were only singles. And then the last one was a trail to the ditch for 3, but Jen ended up winning it on the very next end. The match was pretty much well and truly over by that point. So, nice finish there from Leigh.
That's another important part of the game. You know, it's not over until that very last shot is scored. You know, we've all been out there where we've been trailing by an absolute mile, but until that opposition scores that last shot, it's not over. So never give up.
And the thing is, with singles play, it is beautiful because it is first past the post. You can't count down the clock. You can to an extent, but you get looked upon fairly badly.
That's not very good etiquette at all.
No. But yeah, 2 hour 15 time limit for the matches in the sectional stage and all the way up to the quarterfinals. After that, men's and women's pairs, singles and fours, untimed. All other disciplines from the quarters onwards capped at 3 hours.
As we see another good bowl here by Leigh, she's really put the pressure on Carol. Carol just needs to, find a little bit more weight. She's got a pretty good line there, but just needs to add a good 4 feet. So I think this third bowl is really important for Carol, just to get one around about, so the pressure's not on for a fourth one.
Carol Ossher looking to get one of those purple bowls down. The line looks okay, but I think it's going to find the gap, and it will.
She's reduced the count there, which is a pretty good bowl.
And Tash, you are a 3-time singles champion here, player of the tournament. You've won pretty much everything there is to win. Why do you love the Australian Open so much?
It's a hard one, Val. Like, I love the competition. I love, the quality, and I love that anyone can enter. Like, it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. You can come and enter, and you could come up against a world champion, a Commonwealth champion, or just a singles champion from the club. So, there's no other sport that you can really do that in, and I think that's really cool in itself. But also there's amazing prize money up for grabs, but it's more the prestige of being able to turn around and say that you've won an Australian Open title, whether it be singles, pairs or fours. It doesn't matter what it is. Also, you've got a very inclusive event being, involving the paras and the vision impaired, but also the juniors as well. So it's an amazing 2 weeks on the Gold Coast. I tend to use it as a bit of a holiday for shopping as well.
How good is the shopping up here?
Oh,
I'm a big shopper.
Don't start, Val.
It's pretty much flipped because Rach, my fiance, is not the shopper. It is definitely me. Carol has taken... that is Leigh. Leigh has taken one there. And that is a 3-2 lead to the Victorian. But yeah, I got a couple of days off coming up, and I reckon I will be frequenting Pack Fair.
Look, from a shopper, I can point you in a completely different direction.
Okay.
I think you need to go to Robina.
Okay.
It's better. Big call. Any Queenslanders out there, happy, to hear your opinion. But, been to Pack Fair and been to Robina, and it's definitely better.
In what way?
I just think there's more variety.
Okay.
As we see, Leigh has rolled that longer length again, which she's tending to play as her tactic.
Yeah, the past couple of times I've been up here, I've frequented Pack Fair a bit. It reminds me a lot of Chadstone in Melbourne. A lot of big brands, and unfortunately for me, I'm my mother's son and have expensive taste.
I feel you, Val.
3-2 lead to Leigh Hansen. We're only scoring in singles at the moment. 4 ends played.
I find it interesting, Leigh coming back this way a couple of ends ago. She played the backhand and she swapped to a forehand on both these bowls. But, you know, once again, what do I know? She draws one real close. And
that is a really good bowl. I think Leigh now will be focusing. Yes, she needs to keep winning ends, but I think she'll want to stamp her authority on this and score a 2 if possible, or at least a 3 maybe, just to distance herself from Carol, because she's won the end count 3-1 so far, but she only leads by 1.
It's those singles that we were talking about previously.
Carol fires that wide. Jen Delves taking a 6-3 buffer, I think, or it might be behind. No, 7-6, she's in front. She's just scored a 4. Looking at the wrong scoreboard.
All right, Leigh's looking to replicate her last bowl here, which she has done.
So that's 2. Now the pressure firmly mounting for Carol Ossher.
Will she switch to the forehand? She's got 2 to sit on there, or she trails the jack. But she's opted for the actual backhand again. Just needs to sneak under hers. Her weight is superb again, just a touch more grass.
Yeah, look at the consistency there, all 3. So where's this one going to end up? From Carol Ossher. It's getting there. Now, what's it going to rest on? It's fallen in. So that could have trimmed it down to 1. What do you think, Tash?
Well, that was Leigh's bowl to start with. So
I'm getting so confused with these colours in the sun here.
That'll be a 3 to Leigh. So
it was 2.
Carol's just opted for the backhand again. Just needing to sneak around or under her front bowl, which she's done, but has a weight.
Well, it took a rub. So now,
is this the turning point of the multiple that we spoke about?
Possibly. It's definitely, well, that's got to be 3.
Absolutely.
But is it 4?
No. As 3 it
3
is.
Held up. So now that could definitely be the moment of the match that Leigh Hansen wanted, just to break things open a little bit. So 6-2 the buffer. She continues on her merry way.
Jack's been rolled a little bit shorter than usual. And she has opted to play the forehand again. So seeing a little bit of a round-the-clock forehand here.
So it doesn't matter, even though it's a bit shorter length for Leigh, she's right on the money early. Tash?
Yeah, she's found her rhythm heaps better over the last few ends, which is, good for her. And I definitely think in a game of singles, that first bowl, if you can put the pressure on first, then that can actually win you the game.
it's funny, watching other events, you see that having last bowl can be so advantageous, but controlling that length in singles, playing to your strengths, is so vital. So that having first bowl is almost as important as having last.
Yeah, and I think having, being able to determine what length you play is really important as well. So having that first bowl is, I think, probably more important than the last one, because you don't really want to be doing, the last bowl and winning the game with that. That's too much pressure for me.
Something that we have seen you do many times, though.
Yeah, if I had my choice, I wouldn't like to do it. But as we see here, Carol coming down and just missing the shot bowl.
Currently called 2 to Leigh Hansen. I've noticed the bowling out or the other side to the ditch has actually been more true in terms of the line. So in which case it would be Carol's backhand now. They just seem to hold out a little bit at the ditch, and they are pretty far in though.
Yeah, which generally speaking, when you play on a ditch rink, the ditch side is always the turnier side. But the greens are always perfect here at Broadbeach, and they've always got really good line. As we see here, Carol.
Has she done enough?
Probably just pulling up a little bit short there. But it is right on the run surface there for Leigh, so she needs to be pretty careful here. Wouldn't surprise me if she just switches to the backhand. Staying on the forehand. Just looking to sneak around Carol's last bowl.
So this match is sitting on the precipice for Carol Ossher. She's conceded 4 ends in a row now after scoring a 2 on the opening end.
Looking to add literally 6 inches.
Yep. It's a minor correction. Now, she's come in, she's got a rub, and that might, be enough for 2 there.
That's a good shot under pressure. Looking to get the shot to change the length here, which she has done.
Two. There it is. That is a sensational bowl, and she came with the right weight as well, didn't she, Tash?
Perfect weight for that shot. She rubbed any of her, shot bowl that was second shot, or as we saw, she got just around it and sat Leigh's actual shot bowl. So that'll give her a little bit more confidence. And as we see the score now, 6-4 to Leigh.
So that's a massive result for Carol Ossher. She was down again. Let's see where she puts this jack. And if she takes it a bit shorter, and she's done exactly that. Use a bit of a closer camera angle this time instead of going a little bit further away. But how good is this, Tash? If you had told Carol and Leigh at the start of the tournament that their second women's singles match would be live streamed and commentated by the great Natasha Van Eldik, they would have said you're joking.
Look, I don't see myself as a celebrity, Val, but that's very kind of you. Even
you
in
know
the
you are.
World.
You know you are.
But it's, as I said to you, it's fantastic to see, and you can come out here and you can play against, world champions and Commonwealth Games champions, and you could just be a club bowler, which is amazing. And, as we see there, Carol's found her weight, she's found her length, and, you know, she's put one around about. So that 2 there may have given her a little bit more confidence.
I think so. And Scotty asking question, to draw a line to the jack, how do you work your line?
Oh, look, it's an interesting one.
Because I know there's different answers to this question.
There is. And, you know, I don't think there's a right answer, to be honest. You know, everyone's different in their own right. So for me personally, I know the arc of my bowl, and I look at where the bend starts on the green, and I tend to roughly gauge it off that. So, you know, I've always done it that way, and it seemed to have worked for me. So I think I'll just continue to stick to that. As we see, another Carol has put the pressure on now Leigh here.
And see, this is where controlling the end and controlling, the length can be so vital to someone's game. So Leigh Hansen, pressure is on, but this line looked okay from release, but it has just turned a mile there. This is what these Broadbeach greens do. They are pristine, manicured to perfection.
Yeah, and I think, you know, now that the shadows are completely off the green, you know, the greens will only tend to quicken up because the dew's gone off the green, and it's starting to dry out, which, you know, is good for majority of players because they tend to like the greens quicker.
Yes. It's very different to what everyone was training for last year.
Absolutely.
That's at Birmingham. Those Leamington Spa greens were very, very slow, but what a Commonwealth Games it was. And of course, the Gold Coast, the epicentre of bowls at this Australian Open, and there's 14 clubs. You're out at Robina yesterday. Where did you play your pairs?
At the lovely Paradise Point, on their undercover, on their carpet, which was absolutely beautiful.
Yep. So I think Leigh has put one in pretty close here. This would be a little bit of a body blow for Carol.
Yeah, I think if Carol can just touch the jack here, she's a chance of possibly making 2 or 3 down the line.
This one's wide, though.
Don't think she's got the weight either.
So an opportunity here for Leigh Hansen. Does that last bowl change her hand a little bit?
The amount it's turning out there, I don't think so. I think she's better off just to stay with what she knows and try and drift around it. You know, she played a really good one with her third bowl, so stay there.
That's what she's doing. Backhand.
She must have heard me.
And it will get around, but how's the weight? I think this is motoring along, and that'll just be the one. But Leigh Hansen puts the disappointment of losing the previous end behind her and extends the margin out to 3. 7-4. I dare say, Tash, we're going to be going back to a T-to-T distance.
I would assume so.
Beautiful day here on the Gold Coast. Not a cloud. I cannot see one cloud.
No, neither can I.
It is very nice here. Much better than the winter back home in Melbourne.
Pretty sure all down south is cold at the moment.
How is it down in Port Macquarie? Is it much colder than here, or?
Yeah, we had speaking to a couple of people from work this morning, and we had a massive frost with ice on the windows. Ooh. So that's quite unique.
Bit of advice. Now, I almost did this when I first got my car. Almost put hot water on the windshield. I didn't.
That's a massive blonde moment there, Val.
Mm-hmm.
Even I know that, and I'm, quite ditzy.
No, I didn't do it because I was running late at the time, and we had a tap out the front, and I just filled it up with that, and it worked.
Yes.
So,
yep, stay with just the normal temperature.
Yep, very lucky. But it's good now living in an apartment I've got my car undercover, so hop in. No frost. It's a bit warmer than outside. Heater's already on by the time I get out of the garage, and life is good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
As we see Leigh just sailing through there a little bit, but it's always in the game, which is good when it's past the jack.
Yeah. And that's the advice a lot of people give since I started up at Bowls Australia. You hear a lot of coaches and players just say, be up.
Yeah, I think, even if it's with your first bowl, like make sure you pass the jack, especially with respot, when the jack is always going to be respotted back on the tee. If the jack's shorter than the tee, it's always important to have your first one passed. Obviously, we always focus on trying to draw to the jack, but sometimes it's important to draw past the jack.
Because then eventually you've got one passed and then you can start to focus on drawing to it.
Absolutely.
So this one's coming underneath. So that one won't affect the marker.
Carol will just be looking to add a bit of weight here. Her line is great.
This is the thing. Carol has constantly had one or two in the head that has affected the count in favour of Leigh. 4 of the 5 ends that she's won have been singles. And that 1-3 has kind of turned things a little bit.
Well, that's pretty much the difference in the game here.
It is. Margin stands at 3. So what is the correction from Carol Ossher? This one is going to start to swing. And again, the line not horrible. Just that extra bit of weight. Genevieve delves in front of us, leading 9-8. The star-studded green of the day. Jen, Linny, you.
Look, I'm glad I'm sitting here commentating rather than being out there personally today.
Jen sits in front of us here and she's got her lunchbox that you prepared for her.
Geez, I'm good.
You are. Jen says you're on notice.
Oh, is Carol going to slow down here? She's just run through.
Yep. So that... Really not sure where this end is going to sit. There's still a lot of room there. It's been a bit of a vortex to that side, to your right-hand side of screen. Great to have everyone's company from wherever they're watching around the world. Love to hear where you're from. As again, we enter that right-hand side of screen. It's a massive bowl here for Carol Ossher. She can wrestle the momentum back. Get that lead back to within 2 if possible. She's found some good bowls so far in this contest, Tash, and let's see what she can do here.
She's definitely taken more grass. Her line looks super here. Just hoping that she's just kept that same weight that she had, which I think she...
Oh, is it going to pull up?
She may have done just enough.
Oh, what is this going to be? I think we might have a measure. They've got the fingers out. Now the tape is coming. Who are you favouring here, Tash? I think I'm still favouring Leigh.
Okay, well, if you favour Leigh, I'll go Carol.
Devil's advocate?
Being a New South Welshman, I've got to go with Carol.
Okay. Let's see what the marker says. I've been very right so far this tournament. I've also been very, very wrong. Keeping us in the dark. Bron, our marker, doing a wonderful job. That is... Oof. I was on the money.
Wonder you, Val.
I will take that. I learned that using the lines on the green to try and determine where bowls are is probably the best way to sort of judge who's got shot. That's an 8-4 buffer at the moment. But by no means is Carol Ossher out of this contest because, again, it's a single. Only the one multiple scored for Leigh Hansen. Carol Ossher actually has more. Her 2 scores have both been 2s.
It's a really good start there by Leigh. 2 foot past, as we say, it's in the basket. So she'll be looking to just replicate that with her next one as well.
Actually got word that... So here it says that Leigh Hansen is from Vic on our system here, but Tokemwal apparently in New South Wales. Let's have a quick check and get a location right on the border. Kind of like Moama, how Moama is represented as a Victorian club.
There you go. You learn something new every day.
Yes. Right on the Murray River where we have the Bowls Premier League every February down there in Moama.
And what a club it is.
It is good. They do look after you. The dinners there, absolutely sensational. As this one drifts past from Leigh. But another good home. She's past the jack, both of hers. The weight for Carol's first was magnificent. So let's see what she can do. What does a typical day off look like for you, Tash, during an Australian Open, apart from joining me for commentary at the last minute?
Well, pretty much done all my shopping, so I won't be hitting the shops again. But, you know, I just did some washing. You know, I'm a bit of a reader at the moment, so
yes.
I had a bit of a read of my book this morning. Listened to some music on the stroll down here along the beach.
Beautiful.
Which was nice. And then, you know, I'll go home and cook something good for dinner later in preparation for Fours tomorrow.
Very nice. What's on the agenda with the book reading at the moment?
So I just finished Jana Pittman's book.
Ah, very nice.
That can highly recommend for anyone that's into books. That was amazing. She's a very, very inspirational individual. And the one I've just started is Lessons in Chemistry.
As we've just got a spectator, 1 second, just standing in front of our camera. Might have to go get her to move.
Does look like Leigh is holding the shot there, as we see from the marker. Could you see Carol on the backhand here trying to roll her own bowl or just drift in underneath? Can she sit this bowl out?
She's knocked it a bit closer. No, yeah, Jana Pittman does have an inspirational story. One I would recommend to you. Andre Agassi's book, Open.
Done.
Oh, you've read it?
Read it, loved it.
Took me 3 days to get through that. And I've never been a massive reader, but as a tennis aficionado, that book was sensational, and Jelena Dokic's book as well.
Done. Loved it. Yeah, so we
good effort here from Leigh.
She's added another one in there. We might see some weight here.
Possibly. Let's see. She hasn't really wanted to play with too much of it.
Sticking to the backhand by the looks of things.
Interesting choice because more options seem to be on the other hand, but sticking with what she knows here, Carol. Let's see if she can get it in the area, and this is swinging. That is not going to trouble the score sheet there for her. So this could be another collect here for Leigh Hansen, who can really start to stamp her authority on this contest.
Really good end there from Leigh. She pretty much put the pressure on from the first bowl. But if anyone out there has any book recommendations,
yes,
please put them in the comments.
Certainly.
I'm up for a new book at least once a month. I'm a bit of a slow reader.
No, I'm like that as well. Give it a bit of time. So this looked like 3. And
2 it is.
2. But her second multiple, Leigh Hansen, and she's into double figures for the first time in this contest. Well, the only time, really. But she's the first one there, and that's always a little bit of an advantage. First to 10. It's not one of the games you play, though. You go 5, 15, 21.
Yeah, I'm a bit odd like that. I do know a lot of people that actually go to the first multiple, which is 10. But for me, I like to go, 5 and then 15.
But again, it's what works for you.
It is.
Everybody's different.
Just looking across the green here, there is another section that's deadly here. You've got Lisa Featherby from Western Australia, Claire Saunders, I think it is, or Sanders from Victoria, and Sam. I actually don't remember what her last name is, but I did play her in the pairs, and she goes very well as well. So that's a tough little section as well.
There's a lot of them, and a lot of them are being played today.
Another good starter there from Leigh, just passing the jack, finishing on the right side there.
So Claire Sanders against Wendy Wong from Hong Kong, and Samantha Robinson against Lisa Featherby. And we know how good Lisa Featherby is, has been around for a very long time.
We see a really good reply there from Carol.
Of course, this Australian Open proudly brought to you by Apia, who's helping you live the good life and play bowls. Great friends of Bowls Australia.
Carol just missing her line there. As we see just Leigh just sailing through there. But if nothing happens, it gives her chances to, sit Carol's bowl out of the head. But Carol will be looking just to add another one in the head here.
So a couple of book recommendations for you, Tash. Jan Rhodes saying Shirley's Story, supposed to be a great read. And Joanne Blyton saying A Father's Son by Matt Rogers. Supposed Supposed to be a good read. So I feel like you're into your biographies and autobiographies.
Yeah, look, if they're generally my first pick, if I had a choice in a book, then yeah, definitely an autobiography. But I have read a few recommendations in the past, and the one I'm on now, which isn't. So,
is there a lot to do with chemistry in it, or is it just is that just the title?
Look, I'm only. It's based on scientists and stuff.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
I'm only 100 pages in yet, so it's like 500-page book. So.
Oh, okay. Well, good luck with that. So this one now.
Just asking it to drop.
And it won't do so, but I reckon she's going to be back on the board here. Carol Ossher. She does have the mat back. That's a single for her. That's her first single. But she's finally back on the board, and it's something that she desperately needed after dropping 3 ends in a row, dropping 4 ends in a row before that.
All right, I think we'll see the mat's been taken up a little bit, and might see a bit of a shorter length here from Carol.
Let's see what she does. Needs to try something new.
It's on the more 3/4 length here. As we see the jack on the tee again.
Of course, it would be remiss of us today not to mention the birthdays of 2 Jackaroos, Corey Wedlock and Christina Christic. Happy birthday to both of them. I know Alan Ryan set up a bunch of balloons for Chrissy in her hotel room.
Oh, that's nice of Els.
Yeah. Those two, well, we know how inseparable they are.
Yes. Yes, we do. They share a very great friendship there.
They do.
Which is always nice to have.
Made the narrative at the Commonwealth Games even more special last year when they won with the final bowl of the extra end.
Yeah, you always seem to form a really good bond with, the people that you win a medal with.
Yeah. Which
is always nice, a really good friendship. And it's something that can never be taken away from you.
Of course, Tash, 2-time Commonwealth Games gold medalist. Right here in 2018.
Yeah, the good old Gold Coast. I do love this place.
Yeah, last year. How were you in the stands that day with Chrissy and Alan's match? Because I was a wreck.
That was pretty good, I think.
The cool, calm, collected one.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have to play the bowls.
Fair enough.
So
I'm a very nervous watcher.
Look, I'm not the best watcher. I don't tend to enjoy it, as we see Carol putting the pressure on there with a front toucher.
Sensational delivery. Yeah, no, I'm a very bad watcher when it comes to something I'm extremely invested in, whether that be the Richmond Football Club when Roger Federer was playing, or being in the stands last year at the Commonwealth Games. Lachlan Williams had a Val-shaped handprint on his arm.
Look, I think if I'm super invested and I don't know what the players are like in a different sport, whereas I backed, Chrissy and Els to win that. So I knew that they would be in full control. But, ask me what I'm going to be like in, probably 2 months' time at the Women's World Cup, and that could be a very different story.
Yes, that's coming up. Have you got your tickets?
I do. I was very excited, like
nice.
A little kid in a candy store when I got my tickets. As we see another awesome bowl there from Carol. She's really put the pressure on this end.
She certainly has, and all of a sudden, she's holding, that's 3. So now, Leigh Hansen, this is probably the first question that she's been asked today. What's her answer?
We saw weight with her last bowl, and she's not afraid to play it again, which she has.
No, and she's not far away. She's
And
not far away.
What a shot that
is. Is magnificent.
She's made 2 of that. That's a massive turnaround. That's a 5-shot turnaround.
That's what a good weighted shot can do, Tash. We know you possess one of the more deadly drives.
Yes, I do. I do like a drive. Generally on the opposite hand to what Leigh just played, but, you know, as long as you hit it, it doesn't matter.
Brilliant shot. Now the question asked of Carol Ossher again. Now, Dean Shaw asking, given that you're a jackaroo and everybody that you play will want to claim your scalp just at the AO and, you know, they want to say that, you know, I had a chance against Tash. How do you mentally prepare yourself for that?
You can't take anyone for granted. You know, you treat everyone like they're a world champion. Well, I do. And, you know, I'm more than happy to give credit where credit's due. If they play better than me on the day, then you know what? They deserve to win. At the end of the day, you know, I know that I've done everything that I possibly can to put my best foot forward. And if that means that I don't come out on top, then it is what it is. So, you know, it's just a game at the end of the day. And the sun will rise. But I tell you what, when I step foot on that green, I'm very, very competitive.
Yeah. Bit of white line fever.
Yeah.
So what's the count going to be here? 1 kicked out.
Are we going to see the measure out again?
I think we are. Carol and Leigh, and I think Leigh wants this too. Carol said, you get down there and you measure it. Such a massive bowl from Leigh Hansen to secure this end back. Looked as though Carol Ossher was on her way back in this contest, but if this is... Well, they're going to be measuring, I reckon, for another one.
That's how easily an end can turn. You know, you could play 3 unbelievable bowls and next minute you find yourself 2 down.
This is why it's good to have bowls past the jack.
As we always say, you're better to be up than short.
Yep, that is 2 to Leigh Hansen, who extends that margin to 7 shots. She's the biggest of the match so far. You've obviously had a lot of success in the singles world. Tash, what's your favourite format to play?
It's a hard question, that one. Because don't get me wrong, like I love singles. Because, you know, if I play like rubbish, then I've only got myself to blame. And, you know, I can tend to go with my gut more often than not. But I love the team atmosphere. I love being involved in a team, and I thrive on minimal bowls. So I love only playing with 2 bowls.
So 4s?
I do love 4s.
More than fair enough. Now we've lost a jack in the ditch here. So length will be controlled by Carol Ossher here.
She's taken the mat up to pretty much where it was heading towards last end.
Now let's see what she does with it. Oh, we're not losing a second, are we? I think this will just pull up.
Just stayed up.
So Matt right up, Jack on the tee. And it'll be Leigh Hansen to get us underway. But this is the thing, is this where Leigh Hansen would have wanted the jack anyway? She would have wanted the mat a little bit further back, but...
Well, she knows this. Like, she just played an absolute howler to make 2 on this same length. So, you know, she's going to be around about it. She knows the weight. It's just a matter of finding that line. But once again, she's past the jack, which has been very important in this game.
And it was in the last end, because that was the difference between her going 3 down and 2 up. It was a 5-shot turnaround with that 1 bowl. Had a free kick to score a third, but was just a little bit wide. 11 ends played, 12-5. Genevieve Dells with a 17-9 lead over her opponent.
Lindsay Clark is 16-10 up.
She's in a good position, is Linny. She'll take on Jen in that final match. That one's bound to be a ripping contest. I've loved this Australian Open so far. Everywhere you look, there's a good bowler. And I think what is great is that you can come here, or you just pick a rink. And if you're drawn on that rink, you get live streamed.
Which I think is really special. Like, for every single person out there, I'd be very surprised if, it wasn't their dream to actually be on the Bowls Australia live stream. I think, for a lot of people that could be like the pinnacle of kind of like being a TV superstar. So it's really cool that you can just be out there and you could be on live stream for pretty much the whole world to view.
I think if you win a live stream as well, think about what it can do for your club. It puts your club on the map if it's not a big one, especially.
Even if it's just, just being on the live stream for your club. Like, it's great advertisement for that club. And that's why I think it's really important, with as many opportunities as you can get, to wear those club colours, to wear your sponsored players and your colours for your sponsors as well, if you're lucky enough to have a sponsor.
100%. So this one here from Leigh.
And once again, they are all her bowls past the jack.
That's 3. I dare say this will change. Carol knows what she has to do. But a 3 here for Leigh Hansen, or more, possibly. She's still got one to come. Could have alarm bells ringing for Carol Ossher, if they're not ringing already.
She needs to take the pressure off herself here. Her line is good. Can she run the distance?
Has she done enough?
Don't think so, but
No.
she's definitely cut down.
That's 1. What's the option here for Leigh?
If it was me, she's played 3 on the forehand. I don't think there's any harm in switching over and trying to trail the jack on the backhand.
And, lo and behold, Natasha Van Eldik gets it right.
Ask and you shall receive.
Now, what will this do? It's trying to hold. Will it get a rub? It will. Bit of a fortunate result, but that's 2 for Leigh Hansen at the moment. 2 here would make things very, very difficult for Carol Ossher to get back into this contest. But we do see big leads trimmed back all the time in singles.
As I said, it's not over until that very last shot is scored. So, they always say that 1 is the hardest one to get.
She's playing with some weight here.
Can she get onto
Carol.
her own here?
She can. Where's it going? Well, I think that's cut it down to 1 again. It was a good effort.
It was a very good effort. A little bit more of the bowl, and, she probably nearly rolls it for the actual shot. So,
So I'm favouring 1 here to...
I'm going to go 2.
2. 2 to Leigh Hansen, you think?
We might see a measure out here.
Our marker Bron favouring 1.
No, only 1.
Need to start wagering on these. I've been right twice. Maybe you shout me a bagel.
Oh, the bagel place.
Have you had one yet?
I haven't had one whilst I've been here this year, but I've always been a sucker for one of those.
Bagel House? Yes, it is. I am a resident coffee snob, being from Melbourne, so...
Yes, but can highly recommend in Broadbeach there's a salad bar called Banana Blossom.
Yep, salad bar.
Yep.
For coffee.
No, for salad, just
okay.
for lunch, for food.
I'm not a big salad guy, though.
We need to change your life, I think. New York chicken.
I don't mind chicken. But, yeah, salads just never really do it for me.
Yeah. New York chicken salad from Banana Blossom.
Okay.
Go and treat yourself.
All right. Unfortunately, O'Bagel is only a 3-minute walk away.
This is probably a 13-minute walk.
Okay. So, no surprise, Jack on the tee. But first bowl in the ditch for Leigh Hansen. So she was past, but too far.
One too many Wheaties this morning.
Yep. Question here for you, Tash. When learning to play weight, where do we start? That's from Fiona Newey.
It depends on what kind of weight you're looking at. If you're trying to play like a drive and you're trying to play big weight, I was always taught to put the bowl straight back into your hand so it's flush with the palm of your hand. Hold it as tight as you can. And if you can chuck it really hard, then all you've got to really do is chuck it straight up the line. So hold it like a cannonball and throw it. But if you're playing that more swinging weight, then, you know, there's a little bit more technical side of things to that. And it's, you know, I'm always a visual kind of person, so it's a lot easier to, you know, show somebody.
Fair enough. We'll come down to Broadbeach. Tash will show you.
Yeah, absolutely.
$1,000 a lesson.
Are you taking a cut of that, Val?
Oh, maybe 1%.
That's a very good correction there from Leigh. But Carol's still holding the shot there.
Vital that Carol gets back on the board. She's lost, 5 of the last 6 ends and 9 of the last 11.
Look, if it was me and I was Carol and I won this end, I would be thinking I need to change this length drastically.
It's got to be short because everything that we're seeing, even when Carol does win it and when the jack was rolled into the ditch before, she picks up the jack a little bit here, so she's got 2. But we saw it was a moderate length. Like, it was still fairly long, even though the mat was up.
Yeah, it was. And I think, you know, just to change the momentum of Leigh, because she has got that momentum going at the moment, I think she just needs to change something. And, you know, you might be playing those long to medium lengths really well, but I think for your opposition, you just need to throw her off.
And I think maybe the thought process for Carol might be, well, you know, I might throw Leigh off, but I might also throw myself off.
Absolutely.
Because that can be a confidence thing if you don't always play singles.
We see another solid bowl there from Carol. It could be counting.
I reckon you're right, Tash. I think this could be 3 here. So the question asked of Leigh Hansen yet again. She's had the answers on multiple occasions throughout this match. She's taken some grass here, and we know they swing.
Line is good here.
We know they swing.
She's done it again.
Leigh Hansen, take a bow.
And that's another 4-shot turnaround there. So pretty much, you know, a 7-shot turnaround in 2 ends. That's the game.
It is. And same, and it's to the Broadbeach clubhouse end. She did it towards this direction, or in this direction last time out. Was 3 down, went 2 up, 3 down again. How demoralising is that when you're on the other side of it?
It's gut-wrenching, you know, and you think to yourself, oh, surely the worm's going to turn sooner than later. But, you know, in a 21-end game, a 21 shots up game, it's hard.
And that one is wide, so Leigh Hansen continues on her merry way. It is a 14-5 lead Hayden, we are nearing that checkout zone. The checkout zone, of course, being when you're within one end of victory. It's an Ellen Faulkner-ism that she taught me.
Okay.
And I do like it. So a very, very solid end from Leigh Hansen. She lost the jack going in this direction last time out, but now that stays on. And it'll be a long length yet again. What do you tend to favour if you don't want to give too much away?
Length?
Yeah.
It really depends. Like if it's a quick green and like, you know, the wind's blowing, I'll go tee to tee against the wind and minimum with the wind.
I like that.
Because it takes a lot of skill to be able to play those, because you've got to be able to push it, but then also have finesse to play that, you know, that little weight as well.
Yeah.
So,
with the wind, especially a short length, because you would have to really trust your grass out.
and it's always mat up.
Yeah.
So that, like, if you're too heavy, it just goes in the ditch and that bowl's out of play. But as we see there from Leigh, she's past the jack again. Her bowls are in the game.
And it's something that Carol hasn't quite been able to adapt to as well as she would have liked, but she's been in the area a lot. Still ensured that Leigh has only scored singles and the predominant scores that she's had. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 singles scored for Leigh Hansen, but then you've got a 3 and 2 twos as well. And they are the ones that have hurt.
Absolutely, but as they say, one's better than none. So whilst you're scoring ones,
You're moving further away.
absolutely.
This one's going to drift under. So that one won't come into the equation.
Carol just needs to add a yard here. Her line's been really good here.
Women's singles sectional rounds concluding today at the 2023 Australian Open. And we go into the knockouts. Men's fours sectional rounds today as Carol Ossher gets one right in the zone.
Putting the pressure on again here.
Looking forward to that women's singles knockout draw coming out later today.
It's always nerve-wracking sitting at home waiting for the knockout draw, and then, you know, when it comes out, you kind of scroll through and you're wondering who you've got, but it's always a challenge no matter who it is.
Good finish here from Leigh Hansen. And the further beauty of the Australian Open is it, maybe not for you, but it's all randomised. And you could come up against someone that, you know, well, you could come up against Kelsey in the, not to make you scared or anything, she's the defending champ, but you know, they're the matches that you live for.
It's a difficult one, the whole random draw situation, because, you know, some people really like it and think it's fair, and then some people don't like it because, you know, you can go through in your section and, you know, absolutely smash it and then come out and be drawn up against somebody else who won their section, whereas if you might have been better off to be a lucky loser. So it's a really difficult one.
Yeah.
And I don't think, you know, you're never going to be able to please everyone.
No, not at all.
But I think it would be interesting, being a tennis person, if we could seed it after sectional.
That could work, yeah. There's different ways you could do it, but I think the randomising makes things interesting.
Yeah, it
That's
does.
for sure. It throws around the event. And this time, just to cut back to this, the question asked of Leigh Hansen, she hasn't been able to answer it. opportunity here for a possible 4. And I'm not sure where things sit, and Carol Ossher is right in the zone yet again here, Tash.
Has it got the legs?
Oh, I'm not so sure. That bowl at 6 o'clock for Leigh could be stopping a 4 here. Let's see what the score is. This would make things mightily interesting.
But the positive for Carol is it's a multiple.
It is.
So she's past that first figure, which is 5, and the opposition isn't on 15. So she could beat her to it yet.
Exactly right. This is your game, Tash. First to 15.
That's it.
And then from there on, only 6 to 21, which is what we're playing to here. So we're going to get an indication of what this is. It may only just be 2. And it is. So better than 1 for Carol Ossher, who would have absolutely relished that opportunity to get a multiple. 3 of the 4 ends that she's actually won have been 2s.
2 must be her lucky number.
Might be. So 7-14 is the score in the favour of Leigh Hansen. Jen Delves looking pretty good, 20-11 ahead in her match. Lindsay Clark got the win as well, so Lindsay and Jen could be on for a match to determine who wins the group. Now this is much shorter. So who did you and Jen draw in the pairs knockout round? Was it, if my memory serves me correct, was it Steph? Was it Brianna Smith?
No, that's Linny and Kels.
Yeah, they got Linny and Kels.
Yeah. I'm a little bit further down. I don't actually know, to be honest. I did look and then
Slipped your mind.
Well, probably had the singles to focus on first, and then
that's
the fours.
fair enough.
So we'll get through those, and then we'll look at
pairs.
Look at the pairs a little bit later.
Yeah, no, Brianna, of course, is one of my co-hosts for The Right Line, Bowls Australia's official podcast, and she messaged me as soon as the draw came out and said, "Oh my God, you're kidding." Linny and Kelsey were in ominous form. I think they won their first match 45-4 in the pairs. As both were past the jacks, so both sort of struggling to correct that weight, but Carol Ossher looks as though she might have done so. Weight was excellent there, just needed a little bit more grasp with her line, but she should be pretty happy with that. How important is it for Leigh to get back on the board here and not concede multiple ends, because she hasn't done so yet?
Yeah, I think it's very important. You know, I think she just needs to get back to basics and think about just grouping as much as she possibly could.
One to Carol.
She's not far away there, just that little bit of, weight, and we could be seeing the green change a little bit here as well. Just looking across the board, we're seeing a few more shorter bowls, which could mean that it could be freeing up a little bit more, and people are trying to be more, pedantic about their weight. But Carol has definitely taken it in her stride, and she's starting to group really well.
She should be pretty pleased with this and how it's gone so far. Great to see all the crowds here as well.
Yeah, so just looking over to my left, there's a massive crowd, and I didn't realise why, but then I figured out that...
the fours game.
The fours game of the section with, I'm pretty sure there's nearly 8 Jackaroos or former Jackaroos out on the green there. So, you know, there's a phenomenal matchup in the section.
Pretty impressive. One of those being Lester, Tees, Wedlock and Sheriff. The other one skipped by Ben Twist and containing Dave Ferguson as well. Heavyweight battle.
It certainly is. As we see another pretty solid bowl there from Carol, just drifting around her own. It will add to the count.
So now the question again here being asked of Leigh Hansen.
Can she cut or reduce the count?
She's been able to on most occasions so far, and this line
is good.
It's coming. Needs to pull up though. I don't think it has.
She's just run through here, so we'll see another count for Carol as she slowly climbs her way back.
Leigh needed that to pull up. It was very close to doing so.
Or she even had both her bowls just past the jack, so
Yeah,
if she
if she
ran into the
trailed.
jack, you know, she was 3 there, so
Jen Delves has got the job done. Her and Lindsay Clark will face off for their section in the next session, so that is exciting. Lindsay, one of the more decorated Jackaroos, and she'll be retiring from international bowls after the World Championships this year. Tash?
yeah, like just devastating, but you know, I'm also like, the reason I'm devastated is because I won't actually get to play with her during her last event. You know, just she's had such an impact on my career, being in the squad for, you know, nearly 13 years, and just such an encouraging player as well. So, you know, she will be missed, but you know, no doubt, like, her family's going to love having her around a little bit more, and she'll also be able to, you know, go out there and you know, do a fair bit of coaching like she does.
Yeah, she's a wonderful person to still have around the sport, and that's the thing we need to keep stressing. She is not going to be lost to the sport.
No,
She'll
absolutely
be
not.
dominating the media world when she does her TV commitments at the AO or at the BPL, and also podcast hosting, but also coaching as well. She's just such a wonderful, inspirational figure, and one of the kinder individuals that I've met.
Yeah, you won't meet a nicer person on and off the green, and you know, for her to be able to still be involved in the game is really important. So I think, you know, for all these young players out there that have got her as a pathways coach, or she has some form of, you know, coaching role with them, it's really important to, you know, take every information that she possibly gives you and run with it.
Yep. Oh, I agree 100%. She's been there. She's done that. She spent 20 years in the international setup since 2003. I was only 7.
That's a long time.
Yeah. I think I said that to her. I made her feel a bit old.
But, you know, I get, you know, she's done some amazing things in the sport, and, you know, that'll never be forgotten.
Not at all. And I think good things happen to good people, and Lindsay Clark is one of the best. So looking forward to seeing her swan song. I know a lot of bowlers look up to her. Serena Bonnell, one of those, now bowling out of Club Tweed and Commonwealth Games silver medalist herself.
Mm-hmm.
And Lindsay just does such an amazing job. She's still in some sort of form as well, winning the Queensland Pairs with Claire Turley recently.
Yeah, I think she's got just some amazing natural ability, as well as, you know, she puts the hard work in on the green and off the green as well. So it just doesn't come naturally all the time. As we see Carol scoring a 2
Another
there.
2, yes. 14-9 the score. After being 14-5 just 2 ends ago, Tash.
Yep, and, you know, she's gone back to that shorter length. She's got a line. She just, you know, lacking a little bit of weight there, but
Leigh Hansen, for her own mind, would love to just get close, and that is a good home. Line good, just needed a Little less weight, but she'll take the early ascendancy in this end. Of course, no streaming tomorrow. The only exception. Recharge the batteries. Get ourselves sorted for a massive second week. Knockout stages all commencing for the majority of the events. And then on Saturday, we will be back here for Rinkside Live.
As we see a good correction there from Carol. She corrected a weight.
So Carol with the ascendancy at the moment. Be some sort of a comeback if she managed to pull it off. This one's going to come underneath. So the correction was too much for Leigh. The line again, spot on. Have we seen a change here?
Could be, as we spoke about, the worm is turning. Good grass again from Carol here, just needing it to drop a little bit. Put the pressure on again. That's 2.
Now, the end scores, Tash. Leigh has won 10 and Carol has won 5. If she can score a multiple here, it would make things, well, you'd be within an end of at least tying. As Leigh Hansen, that is a mighty bowl, falls in behind the jack as well. That is exactly what she needed.
Absolutely. And she's got the one just past the jack as well, so I think we'll just see Carol just try and draw the shot here. She just needs to beat her wing one.
This contest getting more and more interesting with every bowl. Of course, 2 hour 15 time limit. Don't reckon we're getting to that. Had a couple of timed out singles matches, one of which was streamed yesterday between CP Ng and Gail Tho. 2018 in the end there.
As we see Carol just missing her line there, just drifting underneath. So an opportunity here for Leigh to play exactly the same bowl as she just played and add to the count. Her grass is pretty good here. As we see a fantastic bowl there from Leigh. That'll give her a little bit more confidence. And she is the first to 15.
She is. And there you go. That's your little game. She was the first to 5. She was the first to 15.
Will she be the first to 21?
Who knows? Depending on what the score is, might make things a little bit tricky for Carol. 2, so 16 to 9. Nearly at that checkout zone. Listeners on Rinkside Live will know all about the checkout zone by now. I've waffled on about it for 6 days now.
As we see Leigh roll the jack to that 3/4 length. Not as long as what she was playing at the start of the game.
No, very different. Very different.
But a very handy starter there. Her weight is superb. Just asking for a little bit more grass with the next one.
It's a great start there from Leigh, finishing jack high. Not sure about the green speed, if it's quickened up at all. I think since this morning it certainly has, but in this game it seemed to stay pretty true. A bit of an issue on the scoreboard up there. That's definitely not right. Fix that one up. There we go. That should be back to normal.
As we see another handy bowl there from Leigh. Just drifting past, but still in the zone. Carroll just needing to drop a fair bit of weight here. Your line is good here.
It is.
She has.
What's the option for Leigh now? Does she try and sit it?
Well, I think she plays exactly the same bowl as the last one. Like, she plays it, she nearly sits the bowl, or she gives herself an opportunity to trail the jack back to her other two. She was right on track there, just lacking a little bit of weight.
She'll have one more to rectify it. So the good thing is when you have to do that on your third bowl, at least you can regroup and take mental notes of what you need to get done to secure the result. So what will Carol Ossher do? Any movement of Jack probably doesn't favour her, but I don't reckon she's going to get there. She's just going to dead draw this.
That's a great shot.
Sensational. And she's covered as well. If that jack does move, she's got a bowl in there. So it's going to have to be
Dead
inch
weight.
perfect. Yeah.
She's watching. Has she got the jack?
So, here's an opportunity.
Staying on the backhand. Three great shots there from Carol.
So, this end could spell trouble for Leigh Hansen, as Carol Ossher has put two beauties to put the pressure on it. What will the margin be? Ron, our marker, has the paddles ready.
3 it is.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And all of a sudden, Tash,
The margin's only 4.
within an end of tying the match up if she scored a 4. So she continues to just pile on the pressure. She's won 3 of the last 4 ends, but those scores have been 2, 2, and 3.
And it's been on this length, like the mat's halfway up the line and the jack's halfway up the other line. So it's kind of middle to middle, which, I thought when Leigh won the end, she would have gone long.
Well, was that a mistake? Should she have gone longer?
She may be regretting it now, but, you know, after yesterday's performance of Jack rolling, look, I understand it's difficult.
I know a lot of coaches actually teach bowlers how to roll a jack before they even touch a bowl.
Yeah, look, I was one of those. And then I kind of just lost my rhythm a little bit with the jack rolling. But I suppose with the different weights of jacks now, it becomes quite a little bit difficult. But as we see Carol just putting the pressure on right from the first bowl here.
But Leigh Hansen, has she rolled it far enough? That's the problem. Well, that's the question. They're both pretty even on the jack. Great efforts to start things off in end 18. And what looked like it was going to be a foregone conclusion might not be so. Now, first rounds, Pamela Edmonds defeated Carol Ossher 21-8. Leigh Hansen had a 21-17 victory over Anne Ontu. Looking for her second and to go 2-0. She had a tight win first up. Margin was 4, and that's what it sits at now. How's her line?
Good home there.
It is.
She played very good weight.
One of the closer starts to a head that we've had. How important is this end right now?
Very. I think, you know, this...
Biggest of the match?
So far, yeah. I think, you know, Leigh will be looking to at least score and make her margin bigger. But then you've got Carol, on the other hand, who's got the momentum and she's clawing her way back. So, once again, you know, even though Leigh's first to 15, Carol's not far behind her.
No. And these leads, you know, 4 is not a massive lead in singles.
No way. You know, that can turn, as we've seen.
This is a very, very, very close bowl. What will it get?
Oh. It's terribly unlucky.
The gap. You wouldn't hit it if you tried.
If somebody said you could play that bowl and get that gap for a gold medal, you'd struggle, I reckon. But, you know, that's holes are made for bowls, they say. And as we've just witnessed, she lands it, she's 3. She trails the jack, she's 2. But instead she's gone through the hole for 1 down.
And if she had have moved Carol's bowl any further away, she would be with shot. As Carol darts one in. Another good bowl from the Double Bay exponent. Massive, massive bowl for Leigh Hansen coming up.
She needs to just play exactly the same bowl as her last one. She couldn't do it twice, could she?
Well, this is what she's done here. She's close. Very close. Leigh Hansen gets the rub, knocks her own out, and then hers pineapples away, but I reckon that might be enough. What are you favouring? Are you agreeing or?
I can't go 3-0 to you, surely. I'll go Leigh this time.
I'm agreeing. I think it's Leigh. I reckon this is enough. I'll take a tie. Are we measuring?
No.
We're not. Paddle.
It is.
Leigh's got the mat. She's in the checkout zone. That is a massive bowl in the context of this match. 17-12 the lead now. And I dare say, Natasha Van Eldik, that we are going to be going back to a T-to-T length.
I'd like to hope so. If I could send Leigh some vibes, I think she needs to go tee to tee.
And those vibes that you've sent Natasha Van Eldick have been adhered to.
It's definitely longer.
Not quite on the tee, but it's pretty long. So this has been her forte so far. The last end that she dropped a 3 on, she shortened it up a little bit, and it cost her. She's 4 away from a second win of the Australian Open singles campaign. No result yet for Pamela Edmonds and Anne Onsu. Pam defeated Carol Ossher 21-8 in the opening match. So Carol looking to secure her first victory. And again, past the jack. That was the trend early, and that is why Leigh Hansen has got herself into this position, Tash.
Yeah, but I think now that Carol's found her weight and her grass, she's definitely left the door open, which now
And
we've seen.
She's taking advantage.
Absolutely. She's found a rhythm now.
She is taking full advantage, Carol Ossher. And even though she's down by 5, the belief would be at its highest in this contest. I'm not sure about the weight here, Tash.
I think she's overcorrected here. Her line's pretty good again. But once again, that gate's open. Carol just needs to replicate exactly the same bowl.
It feels a lot closer than it is.
I think I'm more nervous than the players. Like, I did say that I'm not.
You are a nervous watcher.
I did.
Well, Carol Ossher, that'll be enough for 2. So now what will the correction be for Leigh?
Draw the shot. That's all she's got to do.
And look at her line. The front and back bowl, almost you could draw a perfect straight line to.
It's perfect.
So now she just needs to correct this weight. It'll get past the front, but it's going to dip underneath Carol's shot bowl.
Would be good enough for second.
Might just be. And, yep, lifted one paddle there, Bron. So this is really tense now. Carol Ossher, she's taken her grass.
Here comes another one.
That is 2. It stayed this way. She's only got one more to correct here, Leigh Hansen. She's had the responses coming to this direction.
She's got to change the forehand. She's got more options on the forehand, which we have seen.
She has changed. Needs to start coming back. And this is going to find the gap, Tash. So an opportunity here for Carol Ossher to score a 3rd.
These are the ones that, like, they look really easy, but they're the hardest ones because you're thinking to yourself, right, I've got 4 foot to draw, another one here. And you don't want to think about the score too much, but, if she draws another one here, she's only 2 behind.
And I tell you what, she's crashed.
That'll be 3.
I think it is. Yep, that's sitting jack high. No issues there. I reckon this has to be 3. They may have a look. And if it is, the margin is the smallest it has been since the end of end number 6. We've played 19. They are going to measure because I don't think Leigh wants to give up 3. It looked like it might be a foregone conclusion at 14-5. But it is now 17-15. Natasha Van Eldik. This is close.
It is close, and I think, at the moment, the momentum's with Carol. So, both ladies are just taking a little bit of a break and having a drink of water.
Time limit. Now, this started at 11:45, so we're still not at the 2 hours yet. We're at 1 hour and 51 minutes, so we've got 24 minutes to finish this one off. Of course, in the final end, all you have to do is roll the jack before the hooter goes, and you can complete that end.
As we see that jack going back to middle.
If you had to pick someone to salute here, who are you favouring? Momentum certainly is with Carol Ossher.
I'm thinking I'm going to go with Leigh.
Leigh. She has been the most consistent, and they're going end for end at the moment. On only one occasion in this match has Carol Ossher secured consecutive ends. So the trends favour Leigh Hansen to extend her margin here, but with bowls like that from Carol Ossher, just drifted past. I thought that would pull up, but it didn't. So there's an opportunity for Leigh. She's going to go on a different hand.
Once again, Leigh's line is impeccable, just drifting through.
I reckon in maybe barring 1 or 2 ends, Leigh's first bowl has been past the jack.
Absolutely.
So good homes, but at the moment, probably not good enough. This one is going to count for a second. So Leigh Hansen. Oh, wow. That's what she wanted.
Definitely.
That is what she wanted. 14-5, the margin was. Since then, it's been 11-3 in the favour of Carol Ossher. She heads to the mat again for her third bowl of this end. Best scenario here for Leigh Hansen. She scores a couple and really makes it difficult for Carol to catch her.
Just drifting through again, but
Yep.
she played pretty good weight there. She gave a bowl a chance to land to Leigh's bowl or to trail the jack. So there's nothing worse than falling short.
In this situation especially, when you're behind and looking to come back and take victory, Leigh needs to just replicate exactly what she did previously.
Even if she just beats Carol's wing bowl there.
Well, it's trying to get down, but the weight, not there. She'll have one more to rectify that. Carol Ossher, She's only got one to try and wrestle shot back.
Is it going to get back in time?
Tash, I reckon she's got this. Oh, I think she's rolled a bit too far.
She's run too far there. That was an awesome shot. A bit unlucky.
She was mightily close. So, opportunity for Leigh Hansen to get in for a second. Continues with the backhand.
Add a yard of weight. That's all she needs.
Is it going to get there? Well, she nudged hers in.
Don't think it's going to be enough.
No. I'm favouring just the one. Bron, our marker, will wait for them to come down the other side of the green or other end, and we'll see what we get. But I'm favouring one here to Leigh Hansen.
Measuring for two.
They are. This is very, very, very interesting. I'm not sure she's going to get it. Two. There you go, Tash.
Surprised us both there.
I thought she was close, but I didn't think it was there. She moves within two of victory, does Leigh Hansen. And again, the trend continues. She just can't string two ends together here, Carol Ossher, and it might just be her undoing.
As we see Leigh putting the mat a bit further back towards the tee this time.
19-15. A two here will be good enough for Leigh Hansen to secure her second victory from two matches here at the 2023 Australian Open in the women's singles sectional round. And if she does, put herself in a very good position to secure a berth in the knockout rounds. We don't know if Pamela Edmonds or Ann on 2 has won their contest. You can find that out at results.bowlslink.com.au or the Bowls Now app. Available on the App Store or Google Play. Have you got it, Tash?
I do.
Good.
Absolutely. It's very easy. If I can work it out, anyone can work it out. So I encourage everyone
Are you
to...
not a technology wizard?
Look, I love technology.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love every bit of technology, but it takes me a fair while to get the momentum of it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you work out how to use something, you're fine. You can fix anything.
Absolutely.
But then once it's just learning it, and that's my thing a little bit too. Having set all this up on my own today, Lockie Williams did have to come check on me. Has this got there? It's just gone around.
That's the start that you want from Leigh after, you know, picking up two and only needing two to clock out. Then, you know, you just want to be as close as you possibly can.
It's vital here now that Leigh Hansen gets another one in. And unfortunately, it's been the story with her second bowl. One's been either right at the jack or past. The second one has been well short.
It's very common, especially once you've got one bowl very close to the jack. There's, I think, a little bit of complacency sets in with people, and you know, that's when your delivery isn't 100%, and it's quite easy to just drop a bowl short. So I think we're just going to see Carol just cruise through here.
So just an ounce of correction needed from Leigh Hansen to get a second in here, because that back bowl of Carol's on screen there at about 6 o'clock, that is your second shot. Leigh needs 2 to win. Carol needs to win the end or just drop 1 to keep this match going. And I reckon the weight here from Leigh Hansen is going to be good enough. Natasha Van Eldik, that's 2.
That's exactly what you want.
Carol Ossher has 2 bowls left to save this contest.
If it was me, I'd be attacking that, especially with 2 bowls past the jack. You know, you rip both the bowls out, you get the jack, it is respot, but we haven't seen Carol play any form of weight yet, so she just needs to drift around this front one.
And she won't. Just come under it. So what does Leigh do here to try and make it as difficult as possible for Carol?
For me, I would be going back because, you know, I would have realised that Carol hasn't played any form of weight, so she's not going to be attacking. But makes it hard if you just put another one in there.
Just increases the size of the target. So she's drifted underneath.
This is it. City or the bush.
Yeah. Let's see. To extend the match another end, Carol Ossher. Purposeful stride and stance.
On the backhand.
Talk us through it, Natasha Van Eldik.
Grass is good. Depends on her weight here. I think she's just going to scrape through.
Oh, she is. It wasn't a bad effort at all, was it? They're going to survey this, but this is going to be 2 and the result to Leigh Hansen. We're shaking hands. That is it. It's been a contest we didn't think would go so long at 14-5, but a massive fight back from Carol Ossher to really test Leigh Hansen's nerve and guile, but she got the job done in the end, and a brilliant performance from Leigh to go 2-0 in her singles campaign at the Australian Open. Natasha Van Eldik, I'm going to let you go. Thank you very much for joining me in this session. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
It has been a pleasure chatting with you, and we'll catch you at 2:30 p.m. for the next session of the Australian Open. Make sure that you like the Bowls Australia Facebook page and turn your notifications on, because then you'll get notified as soon as we go live. Plenty more still to come. We'll catch you then.